Dragon Ball Super is apparently Goku and Vegeta's show. So for today's video, I will be talking about what I have dubbed the Goku and Vegeta effect. Now, basically what this is it's a massive underutilization of every other character that's not at least as strong or on the level of Goku and Vegeta at this point in the series. Now, setting aside wretched power scaling in this series or whatever the case is, you start this series off with Goku and Vegeta being the main characters. This is all about them, their journey, their training, their progression, Vegeta's character development, because Goku had a lot of his prior to Dragon Ball Super, but Vegeta's had most of his, in my opinion, here in this series. You look at it that way, and then you see other characters that used to be prominent earlier on in the inception of this show. Back in Dragon Ball, for example, you see all these Earthlings that used to be relevant but are no longer relevant, and they lost relevance midway through Z. And you look at characters that picked up relevance midway through Z, as in like Goten and Trunks and Gohan, for example, and you see them as being not relevant either. And you see what Dragon Ball Super has done is they've basically put those guys on the back burner, all these other characters that are not Goku and Vegeta, and instead of pushing these guys up to their level, at least to where they can be useful in this series, they've basically went out and just introduced new characters that are already there. So you don't have to have the character development for these older pre-existing characters. You can just say, okay, well, here's Beerus. He's been here this whole time. You knew nothing about him, but he's this strong. He's universe-busting strong. You know, he's a god of destruction or whatever the case is. And I think that's not necessarily the proper route that you would want to handle this when you look at storytelling. Now, no matter how you want to slice it, you know, these manga, anime artists, whatever the case is, these guys want to hook you with their story. Obviously, they're going to have cool moments and badass scenes and cool fights, especially when it gets adapted into an anime format. But these guys, I mean, they think of themselves as good writers. And I think Toriyama's a good writer. I think Togashi's a good writer. I think there are a lot of good writers out there. But the thing is that other series handle their characters better. Now, I'm not trying to compare Dragon Ball Super to any other series, not anything else. It is what it is. It's Dragon Ball. That's its own entity. But you see these characters and you're like, well, what is this character doing? For example, Mark had a really good video and he was like, hey, I wonder if the Dragon Ball Super, the latest Future arc, or the Future Trunks arc, the latest arc in the series, is going to forget about Goten. We haven't seen that guy. We saw him in the first episode whenever he was like, oh, I'm going to go over there and see what's going on. But Chi-Chi was like, oh, you have to train. We haven't seen him since. You know, the show kind of does things where they kind of remove characters as opposed to making them have any sort of significance. The only time a lot of these guys really had significance, there was two instances where they did. And not counting the nice little character moments like 18, cleaning up Krillin after he got punched by Goku, the cool interactions between Goten and Trunks and the Pilaf gang, not all those little tiny character moments that I do love, but I mean actual legitimate roles in this series. The only time they've even done anything is when you had Beerus as an antagonist and all these guys rushed him earlier on in the series and in the Battle of Gods movie. And then whenever you saw these characters fight the Frieza soldiers, basically. Other than that, it's been Goku and Vegeta's show largely. And the thing is that when you have two characters that are as popular as Goku and Vegeta and as profitable, that's the main thing here. That's the operative word, profitable. When you have two characters that are that invested in this series and you have to kind of make everything kind of gravitate towards them, I want to say you kind of have to focus on them, but the problem is Dragon Ball Super has focused on them and let everybody else just hang to dry, basically, and they're not utilizing them because you've got a whole cast of characters you can use. And my issue is when the show blatantly goes out of its way to push everything in favor of Goku and Vegeta. For example, in the Universal Tournament, we see a roster of Piccolo, we see Majin Buu, we see Goku and Vegeta, and Monaka. Okay, so Vegeta winds up beating 3 of those guys. Goku winds up losing, coming back somehow, whatever the case is, the technicalities. He fights on the grandest of stages that Vegeta lost on because Vegeta was tired, quote unquote, whatever the case is. We see Piccolo come in, he has a nice little moment, but he's forced by Vegeta to forfeit his victory. Well, not even really wasn't victory. He just, they found out he was cheating. But anyways, and we see Majin Buu, who could have been an interesting character in that arc. He was a guy that was like, I was really hyped for him, to be honest. I wanted to see what Buu can do. I wanted to see Buu fight alongside the good guys, because he's one of those pseudo Z Warriors, Z Senshi. He is a character that is a part of this cast. He's not a bad guy, but they just don't utilize him, and they didn't utilize him in the Resurrection F stuff. Now, he had a prominent role in the Battle of God stuff because he was the guy that pissed off Beerus and kind of spiraled everything into what it became, but after that, he did nothing. And, in the Battle of God stuff, they made it a point to say this guy is asleep, when in the Buu saga, this guy literally slept for 2 seconds. That could have been for comedic relief, but that's the only instance we really have of this guy sleeping, you know what I'm saying? So you can't really say he sleeps endlessly when we only have one instance of that, and he slept for half a second, and he said he was fully rested, I believe. And you look at guys like Piccolo. Piccolo was underutilized in the Resurrection F arc too, because you saw him fight and he was severely nerfed. He was weaker than he should have been. That's just the reality. He could barely stand up to Shisami, who was said to be on the level of Zarbon or Dodoria, whatever the case was with that, and he wound up dying. And that could have been a very big moment for Gohan. Gohan went into a whole emotional factor, and immediately upon that happening, Gohan can't do anything. He has no way to combat the threat in front of him. So what winds up happening is, as his saving grace, his last dying wish, basically, even though he doesn't die, what he does is he powers up to the maximum, just enough to summon Goku there through instant transmission, and he passes out. And immediately upon arrival, Goku says, hey, I'm going to get the Dragon Balls. We're going to resurrect Piccolo. That literally takes away significance from Piccolo and Gohan. So it's like every time this show has tried to give significance and utilize these characters in a way that could be useful, they've kind of went around and said, hey, never mind, we're going to just kind of gear it right back towards Goku and Vegeta, because what happens from there is obviously Goku and Vegeta get to fighting Frieza. They save the Earth, ultimately. Now, it's a lot more towards Goku because he's literally the main character. Vegeta's kind of like 1B to Goku's 1A. But, it's just this show, it does these things. And it's like, it's not that Dragon Ball Super isn't a good show. Okay, it's not that I don't enjoy watching Dragon Ball Super, especially as of late with the latest arc. It's just when you're a fan of these other characters, like Gohan's my favorite character, you want to at least see them. You know what I'm saying? Like, they get into Gohan saying, oh, I'm going to train, which literally shouldn't even have been said. We see him train for 30 seconds, minute, whatever it was. And immediately after that, he is nowhere to be found for the duration of the arc. He's gone for that entire arc. They don't even cut back to him to show how he's doing. He's just gone. It's just things like that. It's basically taking the easy way out, and I don't appreciate that, because the show, I'm a fan of a lot of these characters. I want to see Kuririn get into fighting, or Krillin get into fighting. I want to see Android 18 fight. She's another character like Buu who never really truly got to fight alongside these guys, aside from Battle of Gods, when all these guys were kind of involved in that Beerus scuffle for like half a second or whatever the case was when they got knocked around. I want to see Tenshinhan fight. I want to see Yamcha try to, throw down a little bit. But the reality is that if you're not Goku, if you're not Vegeta, if you're not a godly character, or at least a Beerus, a Whis, or something like that, you really don't have significance. Unless you're Monaka. Okay, unless you're Monaka, because that guy is a savage. But I want to know you guys' thoughts. It's just been a quick video from me, just letting some of this stuff kind of air out, because I just kind of let this stuff fester, but it's the truth, man. The show panders to those two characters, and more so Goku, because Vegeta fans are kind of mad at the show too. But no, that's it for me, guys. This has been the Goku and Vegeta effect, underutilization of characters. I hope you guys enjoyed today's videos. Nonetheless, subscribe if you are new, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace out.